Hi, I'm Bex and welcome to the talk show where we discuss situations in sport. Today we're here with sports psychologist Felix Gould, who will be analysing the 2010 World Cup final between Netherlands and Spain. The focus of this talk is about the violence and aggression between the two teams. Firstly, Nigel de Jong's chest-high studs up tackle against Alonso. The ball was in the air when the tackle was made, and it looks like De Jong wasn't going for the ball at all. Although only given a yellow, there was much controversy. Felix, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Bex. The tackle was shocking indeed, and should have been given a straight red card with no hesitation. You can see clearly in the replay that there was intention to get the man, not the ball. Although the ref gave a yellow card, he did later agree that after the final he should have given a red. Although, what is aggression? There are many definitions of aggression. For example, according to Bill in 1990, any behaviour that is intended to harm another individual by physical or verbal means. This is also similar to the definition stated by Barron and Richardson, any form of directed behaviour towards the goal of harming or injuring another live being who is motivated to avoiding such treatment. This means that if a player was to physically punch another player with the intention of causing that person harm, this would be aggression. Therefore, in the World Cup final, it would be aggression from Nigel de Jong, as he purposely tried to kick Alonso in the chest. Other researchers have criteria for aggression, such as Gill in 1986, who stated that aggression has to be physical or verbal behaviour, such as kicking somebody or swearing at an opponent, for example, as well as causing harm or injury, and this has to be directed at a live being, meaning that if a tennis player was to throw their racket at the floor in frustration, this would not classify it as a live being, as it's an object. In this case, it would most likely be anger. Also, the behaviour has to be intentional. Therefore, we could say that if Nigel de Jong accidentally made contact with Alonso's chest, then we can say it was not aggression, although the video footage shows that this is not the case.
Players were angry and Arjen Robben kicked the ground after missing a clear shot. So is this also aggression?
In this scenario, kicking the ground after missing a shot does not classify as aggression. There are behaviours that many think are aggressive, however they are not. For example, thinking negative thoughts or simply being angry is not aggression, such as thinking about performing a slide tackle on an opponent, but not doing so is not aggression. Or for Arjen Robben, kicking the ground is not aggression either, as it does not harm a live being. Another type of behaviour that isn't aggression is accidentally harming an individual. This is because aggression is intentional. So in rugby, for example, a player accidentally badly tackles an opponent and may physically harm them. They would not be an aggressive behaviour, as they did not mean to. It was accidental. This makes it hard for referees, such as in the 2010 World Cup final game for Howard Webb. He has to decide whether he thinks that the foul is intentional or not, and how this impacts how he should punish the player, i.e. what card he may give them. Many people also think that psychologically getting inside the head of a performer could be seen as aggression, such as trying to embarrass an opponent. However, this is not aggression because it does not involve harm or injury.
Oh, I see. Does this mean that there are different types of aggression?
Yes, indeed there are many different types of aggression. Firstly, there is hostile aggression. Hostile aggression, stated by Todd and Rahman in 2010, is harmful intent with the desire to achieve a competitive benefit. This means that the player does not cause harm for a success, such as intentionally sliding a player's feet out when they are through and goal. This means that there are motives for hostile aggression, such as harming an opponent, just because they feel like they want to. They may also want to injure a player, because hostile aggressors find reinforcement in their behaviour if the player becomes injured, feels pain or suffering. Also, hostile aggression is aggression that is not inside the rules of the game, meaning it is not allowed and therefore can result in penalties. For example, in a hockey game, if a player hits an opponent with a stick purposefully, then they will most likely have a fine to pay or may be banned for many matches. Hostile aggression can be a reaction to a situation, and they may react aggressively by swearing or punching, for example. These players who become aggressive can disrupt the bond within teams and can have a negative effect on both self-performance and team performance. Another type of aggression is instrumental aggression. Instrumental aggression, according to Todd, Thatcher and Rahman in 2010, is aggression that holds focus on completing a competitive goal through harmful means. Basically, this means that a player is aggressive so that there is a rewarded outcome competitively, for example, intentionally fouling the best player on the other team when they may score. This is instrumental aggression because they may injure their best player, and also they may prevent them from scoring. However, they also risk being punished for aggressive play, and may receive a fine or a suspension or even a card. Instrumental aggression also displays aggressive behaviour whilst hoping to achieve a non-aggressive outcome. Instrumental aggression is usually calculated, and there is an intent to harm. It is also goal-orientated, and there is a hope for success, such as winning the game or being victorious. Instrumental aggression is also similar to hostile aggression, because the behaviour is not in the rules of the game. Therefore, going back to Nigel de Jong's challenge on Alonso, it may be either hostile or instrumental aggression. It may be hostile aggression because he was feeling aggressive and angry, and he let his aggression out by physically harming an opponent in an attempt to find reinforcement in this behaviour. However, it could also be instrumental aggression because he may have been behaving aggressively intentionally to attempt to win the game and prevent Alonso from getting the ball and starting an attack. However, in my opinion, I believe the challenge was hostile aggression, as Alonso was not in the best position on the pitch to pose a threat to the Netherlands team.
Does this mean that sports commentators use the word aggression in the wrong context?
Yes, many sports commentators and coaches and players use the term aggression in the wrong way. It is most commonly used in situations when a player may be playing with less energy and not playing very forcefully. A coach may give them advice to the performer to be more aggressive. However, what they actually mean is be more assertive. A coach and sports commentator describes assertive play as being aggressive, but they don't mean players are physically intentionally harming other live beings. They actually mean the performer is playing more forcefully and assertively. This is backed up by researcher Wiggins in 2006, who stated aggression is a misused word and in the wrong context in sports commentary, when the behaviour shown is actually more forceful behaviour than aggression. Assertion, known as channeled aggression, is any behaviour that can improve performance, and when a player will play within the rules of a game. However, they will play with a high intensity, but with no intention of harming the opponent. This is according to Brian Meyer in 1994, who said that assertion can be identified by having no intention to harm an individual, strictly within the rules of the game, and involves forceful actions to complete skills successfully. For example, in hockey, if a defender forcefully goes in for a hard stick tackle and gets the ball and is within the rules, however, they accidentally harm the opponent as a result of the successful tackle, this would be assertive behaviour, not aggression. Assertiveness is an important skill to have, and is an ability to be able to make your presence known on the pitch by either being physical or being verbally assertive, and it is when a performer will give maximum effort with self-control and it not getting out of hand or becoming aggressive.
What about the nature of the sport? For sports such as boxing, is every punch aggression or is this assertiveness?
The nature of the sport can influence how aggression is perceived. Wiggins James et al. In 2006 stated that it is important to realise that acts of aggression may be interpreted differently depending on the nature of the sport. This means that for sports such as boxing, MMA, or WWE, the acts during this, such as punching an opponent in boxing, is within the rules of the game, and the intention is to win the round or match, but the intention is not to kill or seriously injure the opponent. Identifying aggression in these types of sports, whereby aggressive behaviour is within the rules, is more difficult to identify what is assertive behaviour and what is aggressive behaviour. A good example of the differentiation is Mike Tyson, a former professional boxer who stated before fighting opponents that he was going to try and kill them inside the ring. You can see him in the picture on the slide. This would be identified as aggression, and Tyson had a reputation of being an aggressive personality and boxer in his time. This would be hostile and instrumental aggression and not assertiveness, because he wants to win and be victorious as a result of harming the other boxer. The nature of the sport also reflects the level of aggression that is shown in those sports, such as darts is going to have an extremely low level of aggression, or archery, because the performer is usually in a calm and relaxed state, compared to game sports such as football, whereby aggression is much more common, because players are usually more aroused and in a high state of adrenaline, and a lot of thoughts are rushing through their head, and pressure from fans, winning, and coaches can lead to players becoming aggressive. This is due to the nature of the sport. There is also sanctioned aggression, whereby there is intent to harm. However, it is within the rules of the sport, such as Mike Tyson in boxing.
In football and in the World Cup final, you can see coaches showing signs of aggressive behaviour. Does the role of the coach influence how aggressive the players become?
The role of the coach can affect how athletes behave, certainly. However, as mentioned earlier, the coach may not mean aggression. Some coaches show both instrumental and hostile aggression whilst on the sideline, for example. You can see some professional managers losing their calm and shouting verbal abuse, or sometimes even physically harming others as a result of aggression. However, usually all types of aggression are discouraged from managers at all levels of competition. When coaches may shout to players from the sideline to tell them to be more aggressive, this is not exactly what they mean. They may mean to be more assertive. Saying be more aggressive can cause players to sometimes act aggressive instead of assertive, which is obviously negative. This is supported by Connolly in 1998, who said, "Ask athletes to show aggression, but are in fact seeking assertive behaviour." Therefore, this can influence how aggressive players become.
Does the experience of the players affect levels of aggression?
There was a study conducted by Coulomb and Pfister in 1998, which looked at aggression in high-level sport. The study found that the more experienced players used more instrumental aggression. They used this type of aggression to their advantage, and the study showed that the hostile aggression was used less by the more experienced athletes. A reason for this could be that they know using hostile aggression could result in bad penalties and fines. The more experienced athletes also used self-control to suppress their aggression and keep it under control. Silver in 1979 stated that assertion within sport is associated with aggression and is accepted, but isn't to do with intentionally harming others. Instead, it is associated with a high level of effort. It could be assumed that more elite performers are better at channeling their aggression into assertion. The only problem with assertion being associated with aggression is that people mistake the definition, and it can lead to rudeness or aggression, according to Lange and Jakubowski in 1976.
What are the causes of players such as Nigel de Jong becoming aggressive?
There are different causes for aggression. Some quotes have stated that aggression in sport reflects current problems in society itself. For example, if there was a lot of negativity in society, poverty, and generally poor life conditions, it would suggest that people could be more aggressive. However, personally I do not agree with this statement because it is far too general, and it's clear that this is not the case, as people, if there is negativity or tension in society, I believe it does not reflect into sport, although it is an interesting topic. A cause of aggression could be actual or perceived unfairness during sports performance. For example, if a referee was to give a decision that a player does not really agree with, this can cause aggression, and this is most commonly shown in football. Another cause of aggression is being on the losing side and poor performance of the team or the player themselves. If a player believes they are not playing up to their own expectation, then this may lead to frustration and aggression. Also, if a player is in a match and their team is losing badly and teammates are underperforming, it can often lead to aggression, which could be carried out against opponents who are playing better, or their own team if they are playing badly. Other causes of aggression could be influences outside of sport, such as poor life conditions, or they may be in an argument or have previous trauma, or something may have occurred outside of the match, and this can be a cause of aggression during sport. For more elite performers, pressure to win can cause aggression, and pressure from managers, teammates, and parents can cause tension to rise inside a performer and aggressive behaviour to be carried out. If a performer is aggressive, this can be a cause of others to become aggressive, as they may copy behaviour if there is a role model who has become aggressive. The nature of the game can also cause aggression. Tenenbaum et al. In 1997 stated that football and rugby have been identified to be more likely to experience behaviour that is aggressive, both on and off the pitch. Rivalries can also cause aggression, such as Brighton playing Crystal Palace in the Premier League can cause aggressive behaviour from players as there is previous ill feeling from both teams. A reason is because there may be more hype before the game goes ahead, and thus tension increases and more pressure, which can lead to more aggression.